It's No Skips, the show where we talk about albums that you put the headphones on, you press play, and you don't skip any songs. I'm your host, Elijah Winfrey, and today we are talking about an album that came out in 2012 by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Okay, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. The album is called The Heist. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this album in particular was a video that I saw whenever this album was starting to gain some steam with the general public. You know, it was one of those things where it had its release and, you know, people, initially were like, oh, we have this thing. It's kind of cool. It's like, its own secret club in a way. And then it just blew up. But one of the things that I loved about this was there was a YouTube video, and I wish I could find it, where Macklemore and Ryan Lewis were going back to this like shipping container, if you will. I think it was a shipping container or storage shed. I know those are two different things, but follow me here. They were going to this location where they had all this physical merchandise already made that they would take out to shows and things like that. And it was interesting because I don't think they knew. I'm sure they dreamed of it. I'm sure they hoped that the album would do as well as it did. But I don't think they knew at the time that that entire storage unit, shipping container, whatever you want to call it, was going to be empty because of how big this album was. But this album, again, came out in 2012. It spawned 6 different singles off this album. And just for context, the track listing on this, there are 15 songs, okay? Because I don't talk about deluxe editions a lot. There are 15 songs on this album. 6 of them, they said, yeah, this is good enough for radio. Let's get it on the radio as soon as possible. So think about that for a second. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's almost half the album was singles. So, and that doesn't happen for every album, which is why I'm mentioning it. But here are the singles, in case you forgot. Wings, Can't Hold Us, Same Love, Thrift Shop. That was the big one off of it. Can't Hold Us, and White Walls. And I'll tell you what, my favorite song off of this album is Wings. That's my favorite song off of this thing is Wings. All the other ones, like obviously with me featuring on a show where I don't skip any songs, all the other ones I don't skip. But when Wings come on, I stop whatever it is I'm doing and I listen to that song, because that song to me is deeply meaningful. And that's one of the things I love about Macklemore, is that he can have the, for lack of a better term, pop song like Thrift Shop, and he can entertain you with something that's kind of silly, kind of light, kind of fun, but also still has a message to it, which if you listen to Thrift Shop and you pay attention to the lyrics, there is a message in that. But then he can also do something that almost rips your heart out or centers you in a way. Like you're over here and all of a sudden you hear the song and boom, you're right back to the middle. And you're focusing and you're really thinking about what that song means. To me, that's Wings. Wings is that song. And you could also say, the same thing about Can't Hold Us and Same Love. Again, he had some really, really impactful songs on this album. And for me, when I think about hip hop and I think about pop music, I enjoy songs that are just light and fun, but I really love those songs that got some meat to the bone, if that makes any sense. And this album, to me, has got nothing but meat to the bone. All right. So if you have not checked this thing out, and I'm sure you probably have, I'm sure you probably heard some songs from this album, I would encourage you to take the over an hour, because it's 64 minutes long. So it's an hour and 4 minutes. I would encourage you to take that time, put some headphones on and listen to it. Okay. Listen to the whole album. And if you find any songs that you end up skipping, let me know. But to me, I don't skip any songs on it. And if you haven't listened to Wings, I'd imagine you've probably heard it. It's like really hard for me to imagine that you haven't. But if you haven't heard the song Wings, play it and see if it does for you what it does for me, because it's a song that on the surface is just about a pair of shoes. But it's so much more than that. It is so much more than that. I love, like I said, I love the lyrics in this. I love the music in this. It's a no skips album from 2012. It is The Heist from Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. And that's important to make sure we add that and Ryan Lewis, because he was, working his ass off too on this record. But again, Macklemore, he's still doing great stuff to this day. But this was the album that really shot him to fame, and for good reason. For good reason. Again, it's a no skips album. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, The Heist from 2012. Give it a listen. If you skip any songs, let me know. And remember, my friends, to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out more than you know. And I will see you next time on No Skips.